Well, I've loved his activity so far. He's giving 100% effort out there and covering a lot of ground. And you can see that in the amount of shots he's contesting. It's only been 2 games, not a full season. I know it's a small sample size, but he's contesting 13 shots per game so far. That's a very high number. If you look at the league leaderboard, Brook Lopez leads the league, but that number, 13 per game over a full season, would be second in the league. He's also contesting 6 threes per game. That is a very high number. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the NBA with about 3.5 contested threes per game. It's very unusual to see a big man contest that many threes. He's been all over the court. It's usually the guards who are on the perimeter near the three-point line, guarding the guys that take a lot of three-pointers, that contest a lot of threes. So I think that's really a testament to his effort level on the defensive end. And also I think it needs to be noted, the charge he took against Victor Wembanyama last night, that was probably the strongest reaction I've ever seen for a charge, because everyone knew how hard that is to do. Absolutely. I would hone in on his screen setting. I think the Wizards have a very good combination of screen setters between Daniel Gafford and Marvin Bagley. Bagley has set 6 screen assists per game the last 2 games. That would lead the league, another stat that would lead the league over the course of a full season. Daniel Gafford, meanwhile, leads the NBA in screen assists per 36 minutes. So they have 2 guys that can get their teammates open.
We say hello to Chase Hughes joining us courtside. Good evening, Chase.
Thanks, Chris. It really is amazing what Marvin Bagley has done so far. He's already tied a career high with 2 consecutive games of at least 20 points and 10 rebounds. I asked him about the transition, and he said it's been smoother than he expected. Of course, tonight he's got a very difficult test against Nikola Jokic. Bagley has played against him 8 times, and his teams have won 4 of the last 6. Now, the Joker has put up some ridiculous numbers, per usual, but according to NBA tracking data, he's had 7 turnovers in 23 minutes while guarded by Bagley. So keep an eye on that tonight, as the Wizards rank 3rd in points off turnovers. Chris, Drew, take it away.
About Bilal's defense as Corey Kispert comes in.
Yeah, guys, we see him out there guarding Jamal Murray right now, which, of course, is another big test in a long line of them. We know Bilal was drafted for his defense. He's been as advertised so far. He's 4th among rookies this season in stocks, which is a stat that combines steals and blocks. And in fact, he's the first rookie in franchise history to have at least 30 steals and 30 blocks through the first half of his rookie season. You have to imagine he'll be causing more and more chaos in the coming years.
On the other side of the court, Chase, you've got more on Tyus?
Yeah, Chris, fans may not know this, but Tyus Jones was such a highly sought-after recruit that he received his first Division I letter at 13 years old. He was getting ready to play for his varsity team as an 8th grader, and USC tried to plant the seed. He said he'll never forget the feeling of bringing that letter home and sharing the moment with his family. Of course, he went on to play at Duke and win a national title. Drew, I know you were a big-time player at Kansas back in the golden age of college hoops, but 13 seems pretty young.
Yeah. My first recruiting letter was from a JC, so he's already head and shoulders over me.
All right, Coach, first of all, how great is it to have Daniel Gafford back?
Oh, it's always great to have Gaff in. He patrols the middle of the paint for us. He does a great job trying to help protect that basket. So, I mean, we love having him back, especially for a night like tonight.
I know it's not easy, but how do you limit Jokic in the second half?
Well, it's definitely not easy. You're talking about a 2-time MVP.
Yeah, guys, obviously a very pleasant surprise this year has been the 3-point shooting of Bilal Coulibaly. He's shooting 40% from long range and making about 1 3 per game. It's no accident he's improved in that area. He told me he adjusted his shooting mechanics late in the summer, after the summer league. With help from his trainer, Tim Martin, and the Wizards coaching staff, he moved the placement of his left hand from the top of the ball to the side, and it's made a world of difference.
Tough shooting night for Corey Kispert, Chase.
Yeah, certainly Corey can hope that layup wakes him up. Speaking of waking up, you guys have probably gotten the sense that Corey likes coffee from being around him so much, but you may not know the full extent of it. He told me he drinks up to 5 cups a day and will often drink coffee all the way up until game time, sometimes 2 cups right before tip-off. The natural question, of course, is how does he go to sleep at night? He said he's just used to it by now. And he also had a great line about it, that if you cut him open, he would bleed coffee.
Wow.
Well, I know somebody I work next to likes coffee also.
I'm only on my second one, though. That's all I need, because I'm going to be up all night.
Good report there, Chase.
Well, the backstory of Bilal Coulibaly as a shot blocker is just so great, because I'm sure a lot of fans have heard that he had a huge growth spurt when he was in high school. When he was about 15, 16 years old, he grew like 5 inches one summer. Well, when he was 5'11", before he had his growth spurt, he could dunk because he had hops back then. But he wasn't much of a shot blocker. So it's a very recent development for him where he's blocking shots. And last season when he was playing in France, he basically never had to block shots, and he didn't block shots. And there was good reason for that. It's because he played with Victor Wembanyama, who did a pretty decent job of protecting the rim. So this is a newfound skill of his, and he went up against Wembanyama a lot in practice last year. Of course, they're very good friends. He had never blocked Victor Wembanyama in any of those practice settings. And of course, last night, first time they face off in the NBA, he gets a block shot against Victor Wembanyama. Well, that's exactly what stands out to me, because Marvin Bagley obviously was a very tough situation for him to get traded here, immediately go into the starting lineup, face Victor Wembanyama, and have 2 20-10 games while he's in the starting lineup and still doesn't even know the playbook, and then to go to the bench and go up against Nikola Jokic, the 2-time MVP, and continue to make an impact. By the way, in a bench lineup with all new teammates, he's in a different part of the rotation. I think it's got to be noted, because that's just the testament of a professional to be able to move from role to role and still make an impact with a new team. I just don't think it's easy to do that. Well, obviously Daniel Gafford coming back pushes Marvin Bagley to the bench, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. kind of loses his rotation spot, but he really made the most of his opportunity in recent games. He was thrust into the rotation very unexpectedly. It was that game in Atlanta. The coaching staff did not tell him, by the way, why he was in the rotation. Obviously, there was a trade that was in the works, so he went out there and he played really, really well. And then he went out there in the very next game when Gafford was hurt and gave them great minutes. And he made a pair of threes against the Spurs. He had 3 threes in a game recently. I talked to him after a recent game in the locker room, and he said this is the healthiest he's felt in a very long time. He actually said he feels invincible right now. And I asked Wes Unseld Jr. before the game today what he's seen, and he said that he's seen a lot more pop from him, his speed baseline to baseline. He's noticed it in practices. So we all know Patrick Baldwin Jr., his athleticism for his size is very rare. His shooting ability for his size is potentially very rare if his shots are falling, but he hasn't had that athleticism for much of the season. Right now, he feels like he's got it. Well, it helps the Wizards in an area that they arguably need help the most, which is rebounding. They have been the last-ranked team in the NBA in total rebounding this year, and it's really stood out to me that Daniel Gafford has not only led the team in rebounds, but also box outs. Sometimes when you're boxing the opponent out, your teammate can grab the rebound, but he's been holding it down in both categories. Obviously, these guys aren't going to play on the floor together very often, if at all, but having someone else who can do that, I think just gives the Wizards a more consistent opportunity to compete every night against teams, especially teams like we saw tonight against the Nuggets, who have Nikola Jokic and also DeAndre Jordan, guys who are just some of the bigger centers in the league and obviously very difficult people to box out. Nikola Jokic, I don't think people who watch him on TV can understand just how big and strong this guy is. It's like boxing out a brick wall. And to have some help out there, I think you have to feel pretty good for Daniel Gafford. Yeah, he's the type of player that just fits in seamlessly to any type of team. And that's kind of my theory on why he's played for so many teams this early in his career. He's often included in trades. And I asked him one time, why do you think you've been traded so often? No offense, just genuinely curious. And he said that, he's played on a lot of contenders and those teams have fallen short. So that's why, he thinks he's been traded, because teams make changes in the offseason. But I think it has something to do with the fact that he could just play with anybody. He moves without the ball. He has a very quick shot release. Obviously, we've come to see that he can attack the rim. We saw that a lot tonight. But he is just the type of player that fits in any system with any type of teammates.